What does it mean to be part of the first program to reach 1,000 wins?
Initially it's when you say that, I almost think like I feel so insignificant as an individual. Even our teams feel insignificant. But really what that speaks to is the University of Michigan is there's this collective group of men and women and competitors that have, put things together to allow us to be a part of that history. Part of why Michigan was attractive to me as a high school recruit was because of the history. To greatness is good, like anytime, like any greatness is recognized, and it's, I think we all see it when we watch greatness, but sustained greatness is extremely rare. And 1,000 wins, that's sustained greatness. That's the definition of sustained greatness. So in that sense, it's just a point of pride to say I'm an alum, I'm a former football player, I'm a guy that was a part of this football team and helped do my part to get a couple wins out of the 1,000 wins. So it's really awesome.
What kind of, I don't want to say pressure, what kind of responsibility is it to go to a program like this with all the history you just talked about and to be expected to carry this great history on in a professional way?
I don't feel pressure. I don't personally, I don't feel pressure because this is what was attractive. It's extremely organic. Like it aligns with my core values as a person anyways. So I think I would feel pressure if I had to go so far outside of myself. But who Michigan is as athletic department, as a football team, as a university, post grad, like that's how I like to view myself, and it's also how I want it, like it's the standard I want to strive towards. I'm always aware of that. I think a lot of guys are aware of that. When you see that block M on somebody, I live here in Chicago, I see a block M every day. To uphold that standard, it is something that I'm aware of. Again, it's a really cool thing that we have because it's a global community.
When you walk in that place as a young man, what's kind of the overriding sense when you walk in and you just see those historical stuff and you know it's someplace special?
Mm.
Like, is it overwhelming at first?
I think when I was a freshman, I don't know, overwhelming may not be the right word, but like hyper aware, I absolutely was. Like, there was everything was magnified initially, which is true for most young college athletes at some level. But I remember starting as a freshman, and it was like, oh, wait a second, I'm starting as a freshman at Michigan. You always add that at the end. Oh, I caught a pass in the big house. Oh, we got our first win for Michigan against Notre Dame in the big house, whatever it was. Um, like I still get this feeling in my deep in my heart and in my soul and in my DNA when I go to Schembechler Hall or when I watch practice. It's almost like when I'd go to my grandparents' house as a kid, like the scent, the smell of the house was something that connected to me deeply. The traditions, and then now when I walk into those halls, like it's the same exact feeling where something innate, like deep inside of me, gets triggered. And that started as a freshman. It started my first recruiting visits. Walking around that museum and like seeing the history. I mean, you're talking about US presidents, you're talking about all-time greats at college and the NFL, great coaches, great leaders, whatever you name it. The history is ingrained into Michigan. You can't turn anywhere in Schembechler Hall and not be face to face with some form of history. I just think that's the coolest thing. Like the program that you're built on, that your whole program is built on that. Like the foundation of your program is what you've done in the past, and by all those measures, like you think about the sustained greatness at Michigan, academically, athletically, in the community, leadership globally, like it just starts to add up and add up and add up. And what you have now is a global brand that's associated with, sustained excellence.
How did attending the University of Michigan change, alter, affect your life?
Mm. Yeah, it's I mean, the first thing is like it helped me like become a man. When I got on campus, I was 17 years old. I graduated high school early. I was in the most vulnerable spot where, as a 17-year-old kid, I thought I knew everything. The good thing about Michigan is you learn very quickly you actually know nothing. So that was one of the best lessons, but it helped me become a man. And part of that is saying, I really hope my kids go to Michigan one day. I hope my grandkids go to Michigan one day. I hope they get to experience what I got to experience. Um, the network of people, there's that old saying, like, you never want to be the smartest person in the room, right? And the good thing is when we would network with people, there's every direction you look or turn, there's something to be learned. There's somewhere to strive towards. That's the beautiful thing about Michigan. And the other thing is I realized how giving those that came before me are and were, like, so happy to help. That's the same way I am as a person, and that's my goal today. So really what you have is kind of this circular thing where, the older guys get to pick you up when you're young in college. Then one day I'm one of the older guys and I get to pick the young guys up. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing.
All right. Favorite favorite win at Michigan. Doesn't have to be the biggest game. It could be. Just over your time there, what's the most memorable win you were a part of? Maybe that's a better way to ask it. For any reason.
Hmm. I really think one that stands out is like senior night in the big house in 2016, because the funny thing is, being in Ann Arbor, that was the only time, there was the only game that really snowed, like actually snowed. And it was so emotional for me, having been there for 4 years, as it was for all the guys in my class. Some of them had been there for 5 years. And it's like, it is so crazy how you never, it's not real until we're in warmups and they're playing some music and they're showing videos, and like tears were streaming down my eyes. And of course, that's just an example of how much the program and university means to us as players. That the doing snow angels on the field after beating Indiana on senior night was remarkable. Like, my best friends, guys I still talk to this day, that are like I consider family, were molded there. Like, we're 5-6 guys living in a house together. We did everything together. That last chance to go out there and play football together is something I'll never forget. Regardless of a win or loss, like it's something that is so much deeper than that. Like, we all won that day because of our shared experience together. That one will always, be special.
Just about done here. You talked before about all the great people that have gone here and stuff like that, but the brotherhood that's Michigan football, connecting across generations. You've met guys probably 50 years older than you, 20, 30 years older than you. How are those interactions? Can you explain that? Because you mentioned earlier you see the Black M every day, but when you meet older, former Michigan football players, how are those interactions? What does that feel like?
They've changed for me, because and kind of what I learned, I feel like those interactions are they're almost like a mirror. And what I mean by that is those interactions seem to be exactly where you are at, or where I am at in that moment. As a young college student, I didn't even know what networking meant. Like, we're at this networking event and I'm like, what does that even mean? But I'll show up and like ask questions and put myself out there. And it was exactly where it needed to be at this point. And you just keep showing up, you keep showing up until eventually you realize, like, networking it's not about even what I can get from it. Networking is, what can I do for you? And I realized the whole time that's what was being, that was the offer on the table from all the people above me, those further older guys that have walked the path much farther. They were asking, what can we do for you? They were there because they wanted to help us. It's finally clicked to me to say, oh, that's the brotherhood. we're both asking each other, how can we help you? Whatever that might look like. Can I answer a question for you? Can I high five your son who wants to be a tight end at Michigan one day? Hey, are you interested in business? Maybe it's this. Oh, you want to get into sales? Well, I have a friend that might be hiring. I can help you with the interview process. It meets you exactly where you are. So it's a mirror in that sense, where once I understood that if I can ask myself, what can I do for them? I'm meeting them exactly where they are. Like, that's true brotherhood. It's not about what you can get from it. How much can I give from it? The funny thing is when you give to somebody, what you get back is something that's like more valuable than gold. It can't be monetized. It's a deeper feeling than that.